Welcome to a new edition of Harness Central. I'm Harold Howe, and I'm here with Ben Wallace at Classy Lane Training Center to talk about Barn 1, not so much the barn as the horse. And I think a lot of people know you won the other night at Grand River Raceway with Barn 1, a 2-year-old pacing colt. And it was a bit of a touchstone for, I think, a lot of people that this colt, who was named in honor of the fire, jumped up and he's broke his maiden, and it's a pretty interesting story. We're 18 months removed from the actual fire here at the training center, and just tell us about how the decision came about to name the colt.
Well, I put this all with I have great partners on this horse, and it's almost coincidental that Jamie and Barb Millier, who own Classy Lane, have been partners with me on the foals that are off of this colt's mother. And it was Barb who named the colt, and I think she thought just to keep things, keep us always remembering, maybe in perpetuity, as far as the travesty that we went through, and coincidentally, the horse has turned out to be a very nice colt.
Yes. Now he is a grandson of Armbro Rosebud, who made, I think, what, 800,000 for you.
Yeah, exactly. He's a grandson. Exactly. We own the mother, and I had bought her off of out of the sale, and she was one of the second or third foals out of Rosebud. And Rosebud was so good to us, and me in particular, and Marv Chandler and Mardon Stables at the time, that I always kind of went back that family a little bit. And the mother's been very good to us. We sold one filly off her for 95,000. Classy Lane Rose is closing in on 600,000, and Jules for Rose, whose name is on this plaque right now, it'll be his sister, was a nice filly too for us. So it's been a kind of a nice pedigree to have in our portfolio, and this colt's been a good colt to us all winter.
As I was driving in this morning, I had the CBC radio on, and there was a big feature on the wildfires out in British Columbia. And while that's a different kettle of fish, it must sort of resonate a little bit with you, even though it's been 18 months. And I guess it raised the question, are you and the other people ever going to be able to fully put that fire behind you?
Well, I mean, you don't want it to define you. That's what you don't want it to do. But you'll never forget it. I mean, and again, I'm sure people would just as soon as stop talking about it. But it was coincident this colt jumped up and raced so good. But no, you don't ever forget something like that. It is one of a lifetime. I hope that nobody else has to go through.
One of the things I've said to you that I still find incredulous is that the Milliers decided to go ahead and rebuild. You and I both know a lot of people, if they'd been in that position, they'd have cut some sort of deal with the insurance company and said, no, given the economics of the industry, we're not going to be rebuilding, but they did, and good on them for it.
Well, this speaks to Jamie Millier himself, and I give all kudos to Jamie. I mean, he handled himself so admirably through that whole mess. And I really respect him, not only as a friend, but as a proprietor that went through all that. A lot of questions, a lot of daggers could have been thrown, and fortunately he came through it with great great aplomb, and I was happy for him. And so he never, I don't think, ever second guessed himself about what he was going to do. He knew going in very early that he was going to rebuild.
Right. And the colt himself, Barn 1, what are we looking at next for him?
I just named him in this morning for the grassroots at Mohawk. I don't know if he's anything more than that, but he'll try every ounce that he can, and that's such an admirable quality in a horse that you gotta love it. I know he'll try to the end of his ability.
But this idea of starting out in the grassroots, this isn't a bad thing, where you're not throwing them to the wolves right off the hop. And I see Marcel Barrio did the same thing with his Phantom Sealster, just to kind of find out, because these young horses seem to be fooling you guys more often than not, whether they're good or less good or whatever.
Well, I sensed that all winter with this guy. That's why I opted to take 2 or 3 to Grand River to qualify a couple of 3 times. I just didn't feel like putting them into that pressure situation over there, that they warranted it. Now, mind you, there are lots of horses that I've trained that I have no problem with taking them over, but I'm racing some horses that told me that maybe we should just let's get started off in the right foot and not break our hearts too early. And he was one of them, and I think he really showed up the other night. He was full of himself when he win. So he hasn't been hurt, and he's full of confidence.
Yeah. Well, good stuff, Ben. Thanks very much, and good luck with this fellow in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, we'll have some fun with him. He's okay.
Yeah, good.
Thanks.
Harold Howe with Ben Wallace, sorry, giving you the Harness Racing Edge.